The galaxy trembled in awe and fear. Across countless star systems, news spread that humanity was back. The Terran Vanguard fleet had already liberated several worlds, destroyed Dominion fleets, and restored hope where there had been only despair. Yet the final challenge awaited: the Dominion's core worlds. These planets were heavily defended, surrounded by massive fleets, orbital stations, and planetary shields. Even the most experienced Terran officers knew that a direct attack would be perilous. But for Admiral Evelyn Cross, there was no hesitation. Humanity had waited 1,000 years for this moment. Now, they would remind the galaxy that their spirit could never be broken. From the bridge of the TNS Resolute, Evelyn studied the holographic display of the Dominion's core system. The planets rotated slowly, their surfaces dotted with massive cities, military installations, and countless starships in orbit. Sensors detected thousands of Dominion vessels, each designed for maximum destruction. "Status of our fleet?" she asked. "All ships operational. Fuel reserves at 94%. Weapon systems fully charged. Civilian transport and rescue units ready," reported Athena, the ship's AI. Evelyn nodded. "Good, send the fleet into stealth formation. We will approach the core undetected." The Terran ships shifted like shadows through the void. Cloaking fields rendered them invisible to all Dominion sensors. They moved silently, a storm waiting to strike. Meanwhile, the Dominion command centers were abuzz with anxiety. Admiral Rellencore had regrouped, gathering every remaining fleet under his command. "They've already destroyed half our forces," he roared. "If they reach our core worlds, the Dominion collapses. Mobilize every ship. We will crush these humans before they reach us." Dominion officers scrambled to obey. Ships raced into position, defenses activated, and planetary shields reached maximum power. Yet beneath the bravado, fear ran deep. The humans had returned, and the Dominion had no idea what they were truly capable of. Evelyn watched the display calmly. "Prepare stealth assault teams. Infiltrate key installations. Disable planetary shields. Cut off communication. Chaos is our ally." "Acknowledged, Admiral," Athena responded. Stealth drones detached from Terran carriers, slipping past the outer defenses of the Dominion's core planets. They moved with precision, neutralizing energy generators, disabling weapon systems, and cutting communication lines. Dominion officers struggled to respond, but messages could not be transmitted. Their fleets moved blindly, vulnerable to the Vanguard's main assault. Evelyn's voice was calm, but her determination was sharp. "Now, fleet, decloak strike." The silence of space shattered as Terran ships emerged from their cloaks. Hundreds of vessels appeared simultaneously, their weapons glowing with lethal energy. Beams, missiles, and railgun strikes erupted against the Dominion fleet. The Dominion was unprepared. Their formations collapsed within minutes. Battleships exploded, cruisers tore apart, and carriers were rendered useless. Dominion commanders shouted orders, but no one could coordinate a response. "It's impossible," gasped one Dominion captain. "Their weapons, their tactics. Nothing we have can stop them." The Terran Vanguard fleet did not fight recklessly. Every attack was precise, surgical. Ships that surrendered were spared. Civilians were protected. Destruction was reserved for those who had caused suffering. Evelyn observed every strike from her chair, calm and focused. She was the eye of the storm, the guiding force of humanity's return. On the core planet of Zareth Prime, the Dominion's capital, civilians watched the battle unfold in terror. Massive explosions lit the sky as Dominion ships fell one by one. Yet among the humans, hope rose. Children who had never known freedom saw the Terran flag shining above orbit. In the central city, a young engineer named Mira ran through the streets, tears in her eyes. "They're back. They're really back," she shouted. People gathered around, watching as the once lost humans returned to protect them. Evelyn had always fought for her people, but now she fought for all who had been oppressed. Every life saved was proof that humanity's spirit could not be broken. As the Dominion's forces continued to crumble, Admiral Rellencore realized his empire was collapsing. He fled with a small contingent of ships, but his retreat was chaotic. Terran interceptors tracked and disabled his vessels before they could escape the system. "Admiral, the enemy command ship is fleeing," Athena reported. Evelyn stood. "Then we follow. Humanity does not leave its enemies alive if they still threaten the innocent." The Resolute led the fleet in pursuit. Every Dominion ship that tried to escape was caught, dismantled, or forced to surrender. In hours, the Dominion's core worlds were either liberated or neutralized. The once mighty empire was in ruins. With the Dominion defeated, Evelyn addressed her fleet and the liberated civilizations below. Her voice echoed across the galactic network. People of the galaxy, the era of fear is over. Humanity has returned. Those who enslave and destroy will face justice. Those who seek peace and cooperation are welcome under our protection. This is the dawn of a new era, a time of balance, strength, and hope. Across the liberated worlds, people cheered. Aliens and humans alike celebrated their freedom. Schools reopened, cities were rebuilt, and families reunited. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt safe again. Despite the victory, Evelyn did not celebrate. She stood on the observation deck of the Resolute, gazing at the stars. Humanity had returned, but the galaxy was vast, and many civilizations had been harmed. "Athena," she said quietly, "prepare a coalition council. Invite every willing species to join us. Humanity will not rule, but we will guide. We will ensure peace." "Acknowledged, Admiral," Athena replied. Messages were sent to every corner of the galaxy. Former Dominion allies, other alien civilizations and liberated worlds received the call. The Terran Vanguard fleet became a symbol not of conquest, but of protection, strength, and hope. In the weeks that followed, humanity rebuilt its presence in the galaxy. Colonies were restored, fleets repaired, and diplomatic missions established. The Terran Navy, once thought lost, became the backbone of the galactic conquered, a coalition of species dedicated to peace and mutual survival. On NetNarrator, children ran through fields, laughing under the blue sky. Cities flourished. The human flag, once torn and forgotten, now waved proudly over every liberated world. Evelyn walked among the people, meeting survivors, listening to their stories, and seeing the impact of humanity's return. For her, this was the true victory, not the destruction of enemies, but the restoration of hope. From the bridge of the Resolute, Evelyn looked at the stars. Hundreds of Terran ships surrounded the fleet like guardians. They had awakened from the shadows to reclaim what was theirs. The galaxy had feared humanity, forgotten humanity, and now it remembered. "We vanished once," she whispered softly. "Never again." Her officers stood beside her, their eyes shining with pride. They had fought, waited, and returned. Together they had proven that humanity's spirit could not be extinguished. Athena's voice, calm and steady, filled the bridge. "Admiral, the fleet is ready for any challenge. Humanity has returned." Evelyn nodded, placing a hand on the ship's console. "Then let's make sure the galaxy never forgets it." The Terran Vanguard fleet jumped into hyperspace once more, carrying hope to distant systems, watching over the innocent, and ensuring that the darkness of oppression would never return. The Dominion's reign had ended, and the galaxy had learned a powerful lesson. Humanity, though long thought extinct, was stronger than anyone could imagine. From the ashes of a lost species, a legend had risen, and humanity's deadliest fleet would remain a symbol of courage, justice, and hope for generations to come. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter as the fleet moved forward. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Orion Warzone was silent again. Ships drifted in the void, some still burning, others intact but empty of crews. The Xylar Dominion had been defeated, not by numbers, not by luck, but by humans. Their victory was total, yet strangely calm. No cheering, no celebration. Just precise organization, restoration, and observation. For the first time in generations, the galaxy paused. Every species, from the smallest miners on frontier worlds to the largest empires in core sectors, watched carefully. Humanity had returned, and the message they carried was clear. On the command deck of the UHS Invictus, Admiral Sarah Kor stood before a holographic display of the Orion sector. Red zones marking Xylar fleets had faded, replaced by green zones of stabilization and rebuilding. Her crew worked with quiet focus, adjusting drones, repairing stations, and securing planets. Every movement was deliberate, efficient, perfect. Commander Vega approached her. "Admiral, Coalition leadership is requesting an open transmission. They want to address the galaxy with you." Kor's eyes did not leave the map. "Let them wait. First, we restore life and order. Then we speak." Vega raised an eyebrow. "They will not wait, Admiral. The Coalition wants a public statement. They want the galaxy to hear that humans are in charge, or at least present." Kor nodded slowly. Prepare the transmission. But make it clear, this is not domination. It is a warning and an offer of cooperation. On the valiant promise, Admiral Telnar and Lieutenant Wren watched the preparations. For months, hope had been a fragile thing in their hearts. Now it blossomed with the human fleet's presence. Wren spoke softly, almost to herself. It's strange. I've never felt anything like this. Fear, awe, hope. All at once, Telnar nodded. That's humanity. They inspire not because they are merciful, but because they are relentless. They act, and the galaxy takes notice. He turned to the view of the Invictus hovering in space like a sentinel. The silver ship seemed to absorb light, radiating calm authority. For centuries, humans had been gone, yet the legend of their power remained. Now reality had surpassed legend. A broadcast signal was prepared. Across the Orion arm, the humans transmitted a message simple and direct. The holographic projection extended across fleets, colonies, and planetary communications. All beings could hear it, from soldiers to civilians, from rulers to traitors. Admiral Kor's voice was calm, strong, and unmistakably human. To all coalition and independent worlds, this is Admiral Sarah Kor of the United Terran Fleet. We have returned to prevent further suffering and to protect life across the galaxy. The Xylar Dominion has been neutralized in this sector. No innocent lives need be lost. We do not seek tribute, control, or domination. We only ask for cooperation, respect, and the chance for all worlds to rebuild in peace. Let this be proof, not of our power, but of our resolve. Humanity acts to restore balance, not to conquer. The message repeated across systems. Billions listened. Some species were relieved, some fearful, some confused, but all understood one thing. The humans were no longer absent. They were back, and they could not be ignored. On the Xylar homeworld, Overlord Zakatharn fumed. His fleet had been destroyed, his generals humiliated, and now this broadcast reached even the furthest colonies. How dare they, he hissed. They were gone, extinct. How can they command the galaxy? One of his advisors spoke cautiously. They are. Not here to dominate, my lord. They speak of cooperation. Zakatharn's glowing eyes narrowed. Cooperation? Ha, that is a trap. Watch them. Study them. Humanity has changed, but they are still dangerous. Even in defeat, the Xylar were forced to acknowledge the humans' presence. Fear had shifted. It was no longer only for humans to feel. Others now feared the humans' strength, intelligence, and efficiency. Meanwhile, on Korath IV, where the human fleet had first appeared, life was returning slowly but surely. Terraforming drones hovered over once dead landscapes, spreading green growth across gray deserts. Clouds gathered over oceans, and the faint blue glow of life began to return. Medical units deployed in colonies. They treated injuries, healed radiation sickness, and restored hope. Children who had never seen sunlight above ground now ran into open fields. Farmers returned to land. Engineers repaired water systems, and energy grids were stabilized. The humans did not linger to take credit. They worked, finished, and moved on, leaving no mess, no residue, only results. Telnar and Wren walked among the humans, observing quietly. I've fought many wars, Wren whispered, but I've never seen anything like this. They don't just win battles, and they restore life. Telnar nodded. That is the difference. Humans don't see themselves as conquerors. They see themselves as necessary. At the same time, in coalition space, political leaders debated the presence of humanity. Some feared them, worried that their power could overshadow others. Some were inspired, hoping to learn from humans and join them in rebuilding efforts. The debate raged across diplomatic channels. Meanwhile, the human fleet ignored politics. Their only priority was order, protection, and restoration. Their presence alone shifted the balance of the galaxy. When humanity returns, one coalition ambassador whispered, the galaxy remembers what it is like to be united, to feel safe, to hope again. Those words spread like wildfire. In a galaxy that had grown cynical, afraid, and fractured, humans became the symbol of possibility. Back on the Invictus, Admiral Kor observed the calm after the storm. Her officers moved efficiently, but there was no chatter, no celebration. Humanity had never needed to boast. Results spoke for themselves. Commander Vega approached. Admiral, there are reports from newly stabilized sectors. Civilian systems are requesting long-term support. They want guidance, protection, and cooperation, Kor nodded. Provide it, but do not impose. We are here to restore balance, not to rule. She looked at the stars, reflecting on the long journey. Humanity once left this galaxy broken. We return to remind all species what is possible, and what is worth protecting. Her voice was quiet, but every human within hearing distance understood. They were not just soldiers. They were a statement, a reminder of human potential. Meanwhile, far beyond the Orion arm, a scout ship exited faster than light travel and recorded what had happened. Its mission was simple: observe, report, and prepare. The Terran fleet had shown the galaxy the full power of humanity, and this was only the beginning. Every species would remember. Some would fear. Some would hope, but all would change. The humans were no longer distant legends. They were present, active, and unstoppable. In the midst of the galaxy, across countless stars and planets, one simple truth spread faster than any message could. The humans are back, and they bring order. For centuries, the galaxy had forgotten the strength of humanity. Now, it would never forget again. Admiral Kor stood silently on the bridge, her eyes on the stars. She thought of the battles to come, the challenges ahead, and the responsibility humanity now carried. "We will remind the galaxy," she whispered, "why humans should never be ignored." And with that, the Terran fleet moved onward, leaving the Orion Warzone behind, but carrying the hope, fear, and awe of the entire galaxy with them. The galaxy had not seen such silence in centuries. Every communication channel buzzed with one phrase: "The humans are back." News of the Orion Warzone victory spread faster than light. Across the coalition, broken fleets and frightened worlds began to hope again. The Xylar Dominion, who once believed themselves unstoppable, was suddenly on the defensive. For the first time in generations, fear shifted, away from the weak and toward the strong. But humanity was not celebrating. They were preparing. Inside the command bridge of the UHS Invictus, Admiral Sarah Kor stood before a vast holographic display. The galaxy shimmered in blue light before her eyes, with red zones marking Xylar-held sectors. Around her, officers worked calmly, their voices steady, their focus absolute. Commander Vega approached. "Admiral, recon drones confirm that Xylar forces are regrouping near the Dravik cluster. Multiple dreadnoughts, possibly their main fleet." Kor studied the data. "Estimated numbers?" "More than 500 warships," Vega said. "Heavy armor, plasma artillery, and their new energy lattice shields." Kor didn't flinch. "Send a transmission to all Terran units. We move in 1 hour." "Yes, Admiral," Vega said, already moving. Meanwhile, far across the system, Admiral Telnar and his Trascan crew aboard the Valiant Promise watched the human preparations. Hundreds of Terran ships were aligning, each one gliding into formation like parts of a single mind. Their engines emitted no bright glow, just a faint silver pulse like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. Ren stared at the display in awe. "They move like a living thing," he said quietly. "No hesitation, no wasted motion." Telnar nodded slowly. "That's not an army," he said. "That's unity." As he spoke, a low hum filled the air, the sound of the humans powering up their fleet's warp systems. The space around the ships began to shimmer, bending light itself. It looked as if the stars were rippling. "Where are they going?" Ren asked. Telnar's eyes darkened. "To end the war." On the other side of the galaxy, the Xylar High Command gathered inside their crystal fortress on Velith Prime. Their leader, Overlord Zekatharn, slammed one clawed fist into the table, cracking it. "Impossible," he hissed. "No species could create such weapons." The humans were extinct. His advisors trembled. One dared to speak. "The recordings are confirmed, Overlord. Their ships erased our fleets in seconds. They used energy beyond our understanding." Zekatharn's eyes glowed with fury. "Then we will drown them in numbers. Prepare every fleet we have. If they wish for war, we will give them one." He didn't realize it was already too late. When the human fleet arrived at the Dravik cluster, the stars themselves seemed to dim. Their ships exited warp in perfect synchrony, not scattered, not disorganized. Thousands of Terran vessels stood against the Xylar's massive armada. The alien commanders laughed when they saw the human numbers. The Xylar had more ships, more firepower, and more arrogance. They opened fire without hesitation, but the humans didn't respond immediately. Their ships held position, shields absorbing the onslaught with soft ripples of blue light. The void filled with plasma fire, antimatter bursts, and nuclear detonations. Yet the Terran formation did not move an inch. And then, Admiral Kor gave a single command. Execute Pattern Aegis 1. Return fire. The first human salvo was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Dozens of sleek cruisers unleashed kinetic rods traveling near the speed of light. They didn't explode. They simply passed through the enemy ships, leaving perfect circular holes behind. One rod could pierce 3 Xylar battleships in a line. Then the Invictus activated its main cannon. Energy gathered silently at the front of the ship, condensing into a sphere of pure light. It expanded, then released in a single breathtaking beam that tore through the void like a sun awakening. Every ship it touched vanished. There was no explosion, no debris, just a fading wave of energy where entire fleets had been seconds before. In the chaos, Xylar command channels filled with panic. Shields failing. Our coordinates are compromised. They're inside our systems. How are they? The voices ended one by one. The humans had hacked their entire network mid-battle. No one knew how. No one knew when. Kor watched silently from her command deck. End their carriers, she said softly. Leave the transports. They may surrender. Within minutes, the Dominion's main fleet was gone. What remained were crippled ships drifting helplessly in the cold. But humanity didn't destroy them. Instead, small Terran craft detached from the larger ships and began towing the damaged vessels away from the battlefield. From afar, Telnar's fleet watched the whole thing through long-range sensors. Ren's mouth fell open. They defeated 500 ships in less than 15 minutes. Telnar's hands tightened behind his back. That wasn't a battle, he said. That was precision. Cold, perfect precision. He felt a strange mix of awe and fear. The humans were no longer just another species. They had become something beyond that, something that seemed almost engineered. As the battle ended, the UHS Invictus opened a communication channel to the remaining Xylar commanders. Admiral Kor's voice filled their screens, calm and clear. This conflict is over. You will cease all hostile actions and withdraw from Coalition space immediately. Any attempt to continue aggression will be met with full Terran response. You have seen what that means. Her words were not shouted. They didn't need to be. Every Xylar commander understood. Pride was replaced by survival instinct. One alien officer dared to reply. What gives you the right to decide the fate of this galaxy, human? Kor looked directly at him, her expression steady. The right of those who still believe life is worth protecting. The transmission ended there. After the battle, the humans didn't celebrate. Instead, they began repairing the damage the war had caused. Terraforming drones descended onto shattered planets, rebuilding atmospheres and cleaning radiation. Medical ships broadcast healing fields that cured entire colonies of chemical poisoning. Everywhere they went, they left not fear, but restoration. Telnar's fleet was ordered to rendezvous with the Terran Command for joint operations. When he boarded a human vessel for the first time, he was stunned by what he saw. The corridors were clean, quiet, filled with a soft white glow. Machines moved alongside humans like friends, not tools. The air smelled fresh like a forest after rain. A human officer greeted him warmly. Welcome aboard, Admiral. Humanity remembers its allies. Telnar bowed his head slightly. And we remember you, he said softly. You've become legends, the officer smiled faintly. Legends are just stories people tell. We're still human, only wiser. Later, Telnar met Admiral Kor in person inside a large observation room. Through the glass, he saw the remnants of the Xylar fleet drifting silently in the distance. You could have destroyed them all, Telnar said. But you didn't, Kor nodded. Annihilation doesn't bring peace. It only delays the next war. He looked at her, trying to read her calm face. Then what will you do now? She turned to the stars. We'll make sure this never happens again. The galaxy has forgotten what unity means. Humanity intends to remind it. Her words carried quiet power, not arrogance, not threat, but certainty. As the human fleet moved deeper into Xylar territory, the galaxy watched. Worlds that once feared invasion, now prepared to join the Terran cause. Even enemies began to hesitate, wondering if it was wiser to surrender than resist. And through it all, one truth became clear. Humanity had not returned as conquerors. They had returned as guardians. The war was not yet over, but its outcome was already written among the stars. For the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy was witnessing the rebirth of a force that could not be broken, bribed, or erased. The force called humanity. The Xylar Dominion was gone from the system, erased like dust in a solar wind. But the silence that followed was not peaceful. It was filled with disbelief. On the bridge of the Valiant Promise, Admiral Telnar and his crew stood frozen, eyes fixed on the Silver Fleet drifting calmly through the stars. The human ships moved in perfect formation, their hulls glowing faintly with blue light. Not one of them was damaged. Not a single ship lagged behind. It was impossible. "Admiral," Lieutenant Wren whispered, "what kind of weapons do they have? I've never seen anything like that." Telnar didn't answer. He couldn't. His mind was trying to make sense of what he was seeing. For centuries, humans had been gone, their homeworlds abandoned, their colonies silent. History said they left because of a great war among themselves, one that nearly destroyed them. Everyone believed they had vanished into the dark, never to return. And yet here they were, not as survivors, but as something far greater. The UHS Invictus, the lead ship of the human fleet, began to transmit. A soft tone echoed through every coalition ship's comm system. It was clean, steady, and strangely calm. "This is Admiral Sarah Core of the United Terran Fleet," the voice said. "Stand by for system stabilization protocols. Do not interfere." The human fleet scattered drones like sparks of light. They moved with speed no alien eyes could follow, darting between wrecked ships, deploying satellites, and repairing communication relays. Within minutes, the static that had filled coalition channels for months began to clear. Wren blinked at his console. "Sir, long-range comms are returning." "They're fixing our systems remotely." Telnar leaned forward. "They're doing more than that," he said quietly. "They're restoring the network. Every system in this sector just came back online." The bridge crew stared at the display. Green lights were spreading across the tactical map. One after another, every beacon that had gone dark was lighting up again. The humans weren't just fighting. They were rebuilding faster than anyone thought possible. A transmission request came from the Invictus. Telnar straightened his uniform and nodded to the comms officer. "Put it through." The screen flickered, then cleared. There she was, Admiral Sarah Core, a human woman with silver-gray hair tied back neatly, wearing a dark uniform marked with the United Terran insignia. Her eyes were calm and sharp, filled with quiet authority. "Admiral Telnar," she said, "we acknowledge your distress signal. Your fleet is now under Terran protection." Telnar saluted out of instinct. "Admiral Core, it's an honor. The Coalition believed humanity was lost. How did you survive?" She regarded him silently for a moment, then answered, "We didn't survive. We changed." Those words carried weight, simple but filled with meaning. Telnar couldn't find a response. "We withdrew beyond known space after the War of Ascension," she continued. "We rebuilt without interference, learned and evolved. We watched the galaxy from afar, quietly. Until now. Why return now?" Telnar asked. "After 2 centuries of silence." Admiral Core's expression hardened slightly. "Because the Xylar Dominion crossed a line. We monitor all major energy emissions across the galaxy. When they began using orbital annihilation weapons against civilian populations, humanity decided to act." Telnar was speechless. He had seen those annihilation weapons, terrible beams that could vaporize entire cities. The Coalition had begged for help, but none had come, and yet the humans had seen it from across the stars. "Admiral Core," Telnar said carefully, "on behalf of the Galactic Coalition, I thank you. You saved millions of lives today." The human admiral gave a small nod, but her tone remained professional. "This is not an act of mercy, Admiral. It's a correction." "A correction?" Wren repeated, confused. "Yes," she said. "When humanity left, the galaxy descended into chaos. Alliances fractured, empires rose and fell, and power replaced principle. The Coalition tried to preserve order, but it was never enough. We are here to restore balance, not to conquer, but to stabilize." Telnar looked uneasy. The humans spoke like guardians, not allies. There was power behind their calm, power no one else could match. As their conversation ended, the Invictus deployed a massive orbital platform near Korath 4. Within minutes, its surface opened like petals, releasing waves of light. Scans showed it was reversing radiation damage on the planet below, neutralizing toxins, and repairing the ecosystem. The crew of the Valiant Promise watched in awe as the dead, gray wasteland began to show faint green patches. Clouds formed naturally for the first time in years. Life was returning, sir, Ren said softly. They're healing the planet. Telnar didn't respond at first. He simply stared, overwhelmed. Then he spoke quietly. 2 centuries ago, the humans left this galaxy in ruins. Now they return to repair it. I wonder which version of them is the real one. Across the system, other alien captains were reacting to the same sight. The Varan captain, a reptilian commander of the cruiser Sol's Echo, transmitted an open message. To the Terran fleet, we owe you our survival. What are your terms? The reply came almost instantly. No terms, the human AI voice answered. Only cooperation. That simple sentence echoed across the networks. No tribute. No conditions. No threats. Just cooperation. It made many uneasy. Others were inspired. But all of them knew. Humanity's return had changed everything. Later, inside the command center of the Invictus, Admiral Kor stood with her officers. A large holographic map displayed the Orion sector. Dozens of red zones marking areas of conflict. Human fleets were already spreading to each one. Deploy secondary task forces to zones 4 through 9, she ordered. Use minimal force where possible. The goal is stabilization, not destruction. Her aide, Commander Vega, nodded. And what about contact with coalition leadership? They're requesting a summit. Kor folded her hands behind her back. We'll meet them when the war is over. For now, our priority is securing the civilian sectors. Vega hesitated. Some species might see us as a threat, Admiral. They should, she replied calmly. But fear can become respect, if we earn it. Meanwhile, aboard the Valiant Promise, the crew was still watching the humans at work. The once-dead communication arrays around Korath 4 now pulsed with blue light, broadcasting across dozens of systems. Data packets flowed like rivers of light between ships, stations, and planets. Ren looked at the Admiral. Sir, what if they decide to stay? What if this is their galaxy now? Telnar sighed. Then we'll have to live in it. But at least it will be alive again. He turned toward the window, where the Invictus hung silently in the void, surrounded by its escort fleet. Each ship looked like a piece of living art, metal shaped by thought, not by hand. They were beautiful, terrifying, and beyond comprehension. Admiral, the technician called. We're receiving a general broadcast from the Terran fleet. Put it through, Telnar said. The voice that followed was calm and steady. Admiral Kor herself speaking to the entire sector. To all coalition and independent worlds, she said, this is Admiral Sarah Kor of the United Terran Fleet. We have returned to secure peace and prevent further loss of innocent life. We do not seek control, tribute, or dominance. We ask only for cooperation and respect. Let this battle serve as proof, not of our power, but of our resolve. The message ended there, simple and direct. But its effect was enormous. Across the coalition, billions heard it. Some felt relief. Others felt fear. Everyone knew the balance of power had shifted forever. Back on the bridge, Ren broke the silence. Sir, do you think they'll really bring peace? Telnar thought for a long moment. Peace is a word, he said softly. But what they bring feels bigger than that. They bring order. He turned to look at the planet below. Green spreading across gray deserts, clouds forming naturally, oceans beginning to reflect light again. Maybe, he thought, order wasn't such a bad thing. Far away on the edge of the system, a single human scout ship disappeared into faster-than-light travel. Its destination, another war zone. Another place where humanity's return would be felt. And for the first time in generations, the galaxy began to whisper again, quietly, fearfully and hopefully, the humans are back. The galaxy was burning again. In the far reaches of the Orion Arm, the Galactic Coalition was on the edge of collapse. Once a proud alliance of hundreds of species, it had become a desperate shadow of what it used to be. The Xylar Dominion, a ruthless empire of silicon-based warlords, was crushing world after world. Their ships were like floating fortresses, massive, cold, and emotionless. Every time they entered a system, only silence remained. The coalition fleets had fought bravely, but courage alone could not stop the Xylar. The Dominion's technology was too advanced, their tactics too cruel. Communications between sectors were cut off, trade routes destroyed, and hope itself was fading. Inside the command bridge of the Trascan cruiser Valiant Promise, Admiral Telnar stood silently, watching the endless stars through the glass. His uniform was torn, his face tired, his eyes full of quiet sadness. Around him, the few remaining officers worked without rest, trying to repair what was left of their systems. "Status report," Telnar asked quietly. The comms officer turned to him. "Long-range transmitters are still down, sir. We can't reach Central Command. The Xylar have jammed all subspace frequencies." Telnar exhaled slowly. "And the fleet?" The officer hesitated. "Out of our 32 ships, only 5 remain operational. The rest, either destroyed or drifting." A heavy silence filled the bridge. The crew didn't need to hear more. Everyone knew the truth, and they were losing. They had been losing for months. The Valiant Promise orbited a dying world. Korath 4, once a beautiful green planet, now scarred with blackened wastelands. Xylar orbital strikes had turned cities into ash and oceans into boiling steam. The remaining survivors were hiding underground, waiting for a rescue that might never come. Telnar watched the planet below. "They were civilians," he whispered. "Farmers, workers, children." His first officer, Lieutenant Wren, stepped closer. "Sir, we sent the distress beacon 6 days ago. If anyone received it, no one is coming, Wren," Telnar interrupted softly. "We've sent 100 beacons before. The central worlds are too far, and the Xylar control everything between us and them." Wren lowered his head. The air felt heavy, the kind of quiet that comes before complete defeat. Across the bridge, a young technician suddenly gasped. "Admiral!" "I'm detecting something strange." Telnar turned sharply. "What is it?" "Unidentified warp signatures, sir," the technician said. "Far beyond the system's edge. Hundreds of them." I don't recognize the energy pattern," the Admiral frowned. "Xylar reinforcements?" "Negative, sir. The readings don't match anything in our database. It's something new." For a moment, everyone froze. No one dared to speak. Then slowly, the sensors began to light up, one by one, marking hundreds of approaching ships. Their formation was perfect, moving together like a single living organism. No random drift, no hesitation. Telnar stared at the tactical screen. "Who in the galaxy moves like that?" he whispered. The technician's voice trembled. "Sir, they just exited warp." The view screen shimmered, and then the darkness of space lit up with silver light. Ships appeared, sleek, angular, and silent, their surfaces shining like polished steel. The largest ship was enormous, easily the size of a small moon. Its hull bore a single glowing insignia, a blue circle with a white star at its center. The bridge crew stood speechless. Telnar took a step closer to the screen. His voice barely left his throat. That can't be real." Wren blinked. "Sir, you know them?" The Admiral's hands trembled slightly as he whispered, "Humans." A stunned silence followed. The word felt ancient, like something from myth. Humanity, the long-lost race that once stood with the Coalition. They had left the galaxy 200 years ago, after a great war that nearly destroyed everything. No one knew where they went. Most believed they had gone extinct, and yet here they were. "Open a channel," Telnar ordered. The comms officer hesitated. "Sir, their network encryption is beyond us. It's rewriting our signal filters just by connecting." "Then let it," Telnar said firmly. "If they're human, they'll respond." The screen flickered. Static cleared. Then a calm, human voice spoke through the speakers, clear, strong, and steady. "This is Admiral Sarah Kor of the United Terran Fleet. Identify friend or foe." Every being on the bridge froze. The sound of that voice, confident, disciplined, perfectly human, sent chills down their spines. Telnar swallowed hard. "This is Admiral Telnar of the Trascan Alliance, Galactic Coalition. We are allies, or at least we used to be." There was a pause. Then the voice replied, "Understood." "Stand by, Admiral. We've detected hostile presence in this system. Do not engage," Telnar blinked. "Wait, what are you planning?" Before he could finish, the entire human fleet moved. No sound. No visible energy buildup. Just motion, smooth, controlled, and terrifyingly precise. The massive ships glided forward, weapons hidden beneath layers of shifting armor. The lead ship, unmarked UHS Invictus, began to emit a faint hum that vibrated through space itself. The Xylar fleet, orbiting the opposite side of the planet, reacted instantly. Hundreds of enemy vessels turned their cannons toward the newcomers. The void filled with glowing plasma bolts and antimatter torpedoes. The humans didn't fire back. Instead, light bent around their ships, like the stars themselves were being swallowed. The Xylar's attacks vanished into nothing, absorbed or redirected. A moment later, the Invictus opened fire. Once, a single beam of blue-white light streaked across the void. It was silent, pure, and impossibly fast. When it ended, an entire Xylar battleship simply wasn't there anymore. No explosion, no debris. It had been erased. The bridge crew of the Valiant Promise watched in disbelief. By the stars, Wren whispered. That was just one shot. Telnar stared, unable to look away. They didn't come to fight, he murmured. They came to end the fight. Within minutes, the entire human fleet moved as one. Drones and small craft deployed in perfect formation, forming shimmering patterns that disrupted enemy targeting systems. The Xylar tried to retreat, but their navigation grids failed, jammed by human signals far beyond their comprehension. One by one, their ships vanished under precise strikes, not chaotic explosions, but surgical erasures of enemy hulls. The humans were not just stronger. They were faster, smarter, and coordinated beyond imagination. Telnar's crew could do nothing but watch. Hope, something they hadn't felt in months, slowly returned to their eyes. After what felt like an eternity, the last Xylar ship disappeared from the radar. Silence filled the system once again. Then a message appeared on Telnar's screen. It was short and simple. Threat eliminated. Coalition assets secure. Prepare for communication relay restoration. UTF command. Wren turned to his admiral. Sir, they saved us. Telnar nodded slowly. He felt a strange warmth in his chest, a feeling he hadn't known since his academy days. They did, he said softly. After all this time, the humans came back. He turned to look at the massive ship still hanging in the void. Its hull gleamed under the fading light of the nearby star. Around it, hundreds of smaller vessels were already repairing orbital stations, deploying satellites, and scanning the planet below. They're rebuilding, Wren said in awe. Even after the battle, Telnar smiled faintly. That's what they always did. Destroy what threatens life and then rebuild what was lost. He looked again at the fleet. The legends were true. The humans had not gone extinct. They had gone beyond the stars, learned, evolved, and returned stronger than ever. And now, in the middle of the dying Orion war zone, hope had returned with them.